Yo, what's going on guys? HyperX here. Welcome back to another video for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. And in this one, I want to talk about the top 5 longswords, our personal top 5 longswords. We do this in every single Monster Hunter game. We go through and we pick out some of our favorite ones. This is typically a combination of weapons that have high raw attack, good element, good status, good sharpness, and also, most importantly, weapons that look incredibly cool. This is not one of those meta lists where I'm going to tell you definitively this is the weapon you must use and you can't use anything else. This is simply our top 5 weapons. So, as always, also let me know in the comments down below what your favorite weapons are. Let me know if you are a longsword user, what is your top pick. But if you guys do enjoy this, a like would be super appreciated, and do be sure to keep it locked. We will be doing this for all the other weapons. You know I'm getting the sword and shield one ready already, so stay tuned for those. Anyway, let's kick things off with the Garangom Sword and Shield, the Titan Fella. That is already a cool name, and this thing, I'm not gonna lie, if you showed me the picture of it and didn't put it in the smithy, I would think this is a great sword. This thing is huge. All the Garangom weapons are massive. Design-wise, it is fantastic, but it is also one of the highest raw weapons in the game. Admittedly, it doesn't have purple sharpness, it has a huge chunk of blue, does have a slither of white. Even if you have handicraft level 5, you're still not going to get too much more out of this, but it is still a very nice weapon. At rarity 10, it's 350 raw attack, has 0% affinity, but it does have a nice selection of slots. You have a level 4 slot, a level 2 slot, and a level 1 slot, and you have a nice level 3 rampage slot as well. So on the customization front, this thing has a lot of potential. It is a very nice meaty weapon, and since you encounter Garangom relatively early in the game, it's also one of the first weapons you can craft, at least one of the new weapons you can craft, that'll definitely help you pack a punch in Master Rank. It is of course worth noting that if you have used any of the weapons previously in Rise, a lot of those, in fact all weapons, can be upgraded to rarity 10, so some of the old weapons that were strong in base Rise, things like Tigrex, which has high raw with of course negative affinity, that is still fantastic. In fact, that even carries purple sharpness, so you can get some good mileage out of that one, so you can also upgrade some of your favorite weapons. But largely speaking, I want to kind of focus on the new stuff. The second one I want to talk about is the Antique Machina Longsword. These are a selection of endgame weapons. They look fantastic and they basically use afflicted parts. These are some of the monsters you fight towards the end of the game. They are tough, they hit harder, they have a lot more health, and they also drop special parts, afflicted parts, and you can then craft these. This is a very nice weapon. It has decent raw, of course not the highest, but 320 is definitely nothing to sniff at. It also has fantastic sharpness, admittedly not the biggest of slithers, but it does still have purple sharpness. It also comes with sleep, which is always a fantastic element, especially when you factor in the longsword right now has a fantastic wake up opportunity with the Sacred Sheath, so having the ability to sleep monsters mid-combat is always nice. It doesn't have any affinity, it also doesn't have many slots, and on the rampage front it's only a level 2 slot, so it's not as customizable, but it is a really cool looking weapon. It's got this sort of steampunk slash sort of Xenoblade look to it, so this is definitely a nice weapon. Following on from there, in at number 3, I know I do want to largely speak and keep this to new weapons, but the Rathian weapon, the Wyvern blade Jade, is still fantastic. Poison is a great element to have, because especially if you are hunting online, sometimes sleep is not always that useful because people tend to miss it, they wake things up, so you don't always get the benefits from that. However, poison is just a nice passive tick of damage, and this one is fantastic. 320 raw, purple sharpness, nice chunk of white as well, 48 poison, it's got 0% affinity, it does have a couple of slots, not the most, but you do have a level 2 and a level 1 slot, alongside a level 3 rampage slot as well. It is worth noting, I do still like the Espinas sword as well. In fact, I love all of Espinas's weapons. They look incredibly cool. Those blood red blades are just lethal. And this one, of course, is another nice poison option. If you stack it side by side with the Rathian one, it does have slightly more purple sharpness and does, of course, have a nice 20% affinity, but on the slot front, it's not got too many, so it's not as customizable. Either way, they are both nice. You can run with either one, but poison is definitely a good pick. Following on from there, we then of course have, for the cool factor, the Gormagala weapon. In fact, you know what? I'm not even going to try and pronounce this because your boy will get it wrong. This weapon right here. This is in this list purely because it looks fantastic. Personally, I think it is one of the coolest looking longswords in the game. However, it isn't just here for cool factor, it's also a really good weapon. 310 base attack, some purple sharpness, 28 dragon, 20% affinity, and of course a couple of slots. Only level 2 slots across the slot front and the rampage slot front, so not exactly the most customizable, but this is here mainly because I just think it's one of the coolest looking longswords in the damn game, and this list needs to include cool looking weapons, because if you don't look cool, are you even hunting the monsters? Then finally, moving on to the very last one, before we go any further, I'm going to give you guys a light spoiler warning. This, of course, is one of the weapons from the final boss. I will not show you the final boss, but this is a weapon from one of them because they are good weapons, so I kind of need to include it in this list. If you don't want to see it, now would be the point to step away, but assuming you're still here, I want to talk about the Abyssal Thicker. This is a fantastic weapon, looks really cool. I love the sort of weird, almost like, these weapons kind of look like they belong in Kena Bridge of Spirits if you guys played that brand new game. They are really cool design-wise, but this is also statistically a very nice weapon. 340 base attack, a lot of purple sharpness. These weapons, all of them have fantastic purple sharpness to the point where you might be using these and you won't need to sharpen the entire hunt, depending of course on what you're hunting. It also has 19 Dragon. It does have negative 25% affinity, but negative affinity is usually pretty easy to offset with things like Weakness Exploit or other stuff like that, so it's not really a difficult thing to work around. Slot front, it is pretty barren. It does of course have a nice rampage slot, so you can still put some nice skills in this, but it's not as customizable, but it is still a fantastic weapon. So, there you have it. For the time being, that is pretty much it. It is of course important to mention once again that the weapons you've been using in base Rise can be upgraded to rarity 10, so things that were previously good, like the Skullduggery, the Chameleos Longsword, that was fantastic. It is still fantastic. Things like Naga Kuga, the Teostra Sword, all those ones like that, if you have favourite weapons, you can still upgrade them, but in the interest of trying to focus, largely speaking, on new weapons, those are our top 5 so far. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any other picks. If you've missed some of our recent videos, you can check out one of these ones, and stay tuned for plenty more.